Hey, good morning, everybody. Actually, good afternoon almost. And it is Sunday, July 9th, 2023, coming to you from a very, very hot Tampa, Florida, West Florida, wherever you are. I know everyone's going through a heat wave, but it is like crazy here to where even the rain that came yesterday didn't really break everything much. So definitely some indoor time. And if we're going outside, it's not too much going on. So I wanted to talk to you this week about a subject that at least 100 people have asked me over the last 30 years. Uh, Actually, yeah, it'll be 31 years that I joined the Navy this October, and that is, should my son or daughter join the military? I definitely want to take this subject and kind of demystify some things, especially for you parents, in the hopes of, giving you some counsel, helping you give counsel to some loved ones when they come to you with this subject, because it will come up, especially now that student lending is such a prevalent and relevant topic in our society. The military is a great gateway to a college education paid for by Uncle Sam. I'll definitely give you some unbiased opinions based on my life experiences, my family's experiences, and definitely any facts that I throw out at you will be, in fact, that they will be facts that you can, verify online if you'd like to. So I'll start off with the short answer, and that's yes, absolutely. If a child of yours, a loved one of yours, wants to join the U.S. Arsenal, big thumbs up from me. Big thumbs up from anyone that has been affiliated with the military that's still in my circle, especially in my company. But let's get into why. So number one, focus. So the day before I joined the Navy in October of 1992, I literally was a bum. I had a job that I wasn't very good at. I was a security guard. I had a mouth to feed. But I just, I had no focus, but I knew I wanted to be in the military just based on previous experiences with my uncles, my father, my grandfather, so on and so forth. From that day, October 14th, 1992, when I entered the processing station at Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn, my focus completely shifted. What I felt that day, I feel today and put into practice today. It gives you a regimen. You do the same core items as soon as you wake up in the morning, and it kind of gets you focused and positioned for success on a daily basis. And you carry that with you wherever you go, unless you choose not to. There are plenty of people that have had bad experiences and they don't feel the same way I do. Completely understood. I don't know if I was an organized person before the Navy. I'm extremely organized now, and almost everything I do, everything has a place. Very respectful of time, but more importantly, respectful of people's time. So I'm very organized that way. At work, everything that I learned in basic training in 1992, I will carry over tomorrow. When I'm in Birmingham, Alabama tomorrow night, like everything will translate over from what I learned 31 years ago. So something to keep in mind. It just really positions the brain. And mind you, I had no one taught me these things. These are things I had to learn on my own. Which is a likely story in a lot of fatherless homes. There are certain things you're just not taught, and that's no slight on my mother. My mother had a 4-hour a day commute. There were certain things that she just could not do because she didn't have a partner helping her. So that's organization, right? Paid tuition. You parents are wondering how you're going to send your kid to college, or your kid doesn't want to take out all these loans. You do 4 years in the military, I believe now it's up to like $60,000+ for the GI Bill. Definitely something to think about. The travel, obviously, depending on what branch of service you go into, a person goes into. Coast Guard has a decent amount of travel. Army, Marines, and Air Force are going to have some like spot travel where they're going to go to this a certain amount of places like Korea all the time or Germany all the time. Where in the Navy, obviously, you're going to, basically go around the world. If you did 20 years in the Navy, you'll hit all 7 continents for free. So travel's hey, listen, if that's your thing, that's a great reason, right? The friendships. There are people I'm friends with that I made friends with in 92, 93, 94 that I know would die for me, all right now, to this minute. And for those introverted people that maybe didn't have a lot of friends or weren't popular in high school, are socially awkward, that will manifest itself in the best way possible in the military because of the infrastructure that is 247 years old now. Okay. And what that is there's the senior person, right? So my son Simeon's about to be an E6, so petty officer first class. He's got 8 years in the Coast Guard. It's almost like his job to make sure that all the newer guys are all sticking together. For instance, in the Navy, if you have an E6 and E5, we're going to make sure that no one's left out. Okay, if we're in a port visit in Singapore, we're bringing everybody with us. Okay, so it's a kinship more than a friendship that takes people out of their comfort zone and provides lifelong friendships and experiences. So I find that to be very important, especially with today's kids that are hiding behind social media, video games, things like that. This really can help bring people out. So here's a great one, right? Steady work. You're getting a steady paycheck. A lot of times while you're figuring out what life is going to be for you, you don't know what you want to do in life. Well, go into the military and you'll figure it out from there. What you do in the military doesn't have to translate what you did out. I was in military law. I was in a yeoman, moving into a specialty of legal. I'm in commercial banking now. Like, it doesn't matter what you do at that time. You do what you got to do to survive, make it through, gain some skills, and then, your core skills will translate on the outside, but it doesn't, just because you did something in the military doesn't mean you have to do that same job out. But in that moment, while you're in, you got steady work, and that is a plus. Killer benefits. I think my son's got, family of three kids. He's got himself to take care of. And I think his benefits, I could be wrong, and he'll correct me if he sees this video. I think he pays about $30 a month for like top line medical, dental, all that good stuff. He'll pay into his 401k. So if you join the military at 17, 18 years old, you're already working on your retirement right then and there, if you so choose. So killer benefits. If you want to be a young, husband, a young wife, you want to have a family at a young age, well, guess what? You don't have to be a burden on society by doing that. If you go into the military, you've got all those benefits, a steady paycheck, all that good stuff to fall back on. And I could not more highly recommend that for anyone in that situation. That was the situation I was in. Now, I was extremely patriotic person. I would have ended up joining the military anyway. But the main, having a mouth to feed is quite the motivator in my case, at 19 years old. So, excuse me. Now, let's talk about some backlash, if you will, that I've always received, or pushback is a better way of when parents have talked to me about this subject. And that's, their kids are afraid of a 3 to 4 year commitment, right? To sign their life away for 3 or 4 years. But as parents, if our kids had to sign a contract to become a musician, we would have no problem with that. If we're paying, in our case, we paid for our daughter's education. We're still paying a nut that was upwards of about $125,000. We had no problem making that commitment, right? If they were, so music, athletics, we would have no problem having them sign anything away, right? So why do we have a problem with them putting on the uniform? Like, that's something I think we could all think about, right? Like, that commitment's not that big of a deal. And while they're in that commitment, they're actually making money and being productive citizens. So think about that. Now, the biggest detractor, which makes complete sense to me, is parents thinking that their children will get killed in combat. All right, so let's demystify that, right? As of right now, the latest data that can be backed up online shows that a maximum of 17% of the U.S. military is in the infantry. So while all of us, yes, if you enter basic training, you will learn how to use small arms, a rifle, high-tech weapons. You will learn that, okay? But that doesn't mean that that's going to translate to your job. So I'm a numbers guy. Look at the numbers. That means that 83% of every military job is on the support side. So essentially, they just have everyday jobs that you and I have. They just wear a uniform, all right? And if we're wearing a suit to work, we're wearing a uniform as well, So I want you to really think about that. This is an all volunteer military. So that means that 17% is volunteering to go into the infantry, and that's on them. They're grown up to make those decisions. They can do that, and I commend them for it, you know? So I want you to think about that. 17% join the infantry and shoot a rifle in combat, all right? So also the majority, I am not trying to ruffle feathers with this one, but the majority of the people that I know that chose not to go in while they had a chance are pretty stagnant in life right now. You know, the I wish I would have joined, or I was gonna join, but you know, happened, or you know, my parents talked me out of it, you know, so on and so forth. You know, my question is, then what did they end up committing to if they didn't commit to that 3 to 4 years? What are they doing now? What did they commit to? Now, here's some good news for anyone that falls into that category. It's not too late. It is not too late. No one needs to think that. If someone needs to get on track, the military is a great place to start. You would need to look this up to back it up. I'm going to spit some numbers out, and like I said, back them up online if this triggers something for a kid or for you to talk to your kid about joining. I believe the cutoff for the Marine Corps is 29. All right, and that's because that's just, you know, for the majority, that's going to be infantry, and that's a young man and young woman's game. Bottom line, okay. But I know in the Navy, going active duty, that goes up until like age 42. All right. Air Force, everything else is going to be in the 30s. So it's not too late. If you've got a 24, 25-year-old son, I'll pick on the boys because they seem to be a lot less mature these days, and the women are just really, really mature. And I'm seeing that at JP Morgan Chase. I see that in my own family. Like the women are just kicking ass, and that's not a knock on the boys. It's kind of like, let's get it up. Let's kick it into gear, you know? I wanted to throw that out there. If your child's 24, 25, 26, it is not too late. If your child's 30 and needs a change in direction, it's not too late. So do your own research as a parent. Do your research on what jobs there may be and kind of talk to them about it. So here are some bullet points on why I'm an advocate for the military. All right, not just because of the success that it has brought me in my own life and my son Simeon's life. Women in leadership. I mean, from the ground up. This is not 35, 40 years ago when women got their butts pinched and called honey and all that. That's gone, guys. And you can see scandals about, you know, sexual assault scandals and all that. That happens in every aspect of life. When it happens in the military, it happens to get kind of elevated in the news cycle because it should, because we're taught to be officers and gentlemen, or, you know, we're supposed to have conduct that's becoming of the United States Navy. In my case, I wasn't an officer. But so it gets elevated. So you may, if there is a scandal, you're going to see it in the news more often than you would see if a banker had a scandal, right? So just know that these things happen in all walks of life. But women in leadership, I mean, we have women as captains of aircraft carriers now, women's commandants of you know, academies. Like, go for it. Keep going, women. Keep pushing. Keep setting the standard. And it is safe for your daughters to go this route if they so choose. The service academies. So you've got the Coast Guard Academy in New London. Naval and Marine Corps is in Annapolis, Maryland. Of course, the Army's in West Point. Then we've got the Air Force Academy out there in, I believe it's in Colorado Springs. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But you want a Harvard education, a $200,000+ education, completely free, room, board, education, completely on the back of the taxpayer. Have your kid look into the service academies. Harvard, Ivy League level education, all paid for. Think about that. Think about that. So the LGBTQ community, all doors are open for everybody, every walk of life. There are no restrictions. You know, we had Don't Ask, Don't Tell in my day under Clinton. Like, those are gone. So if someone wants to serve, I don't care who they are. Get on in there. You're willing to serve and serve side by side? I don't care what your background is. And I I speak for my son right now, who's active duty. He doesn't give a crap either. You know, the world has changed. The axis has shifted. Diversity. You know, there were so many guys. You know, you got a white guy that grows up in North Dakota. He never saw a black guy before. Well, he's going to get that. And he's going to meet some Latins and Asians in the military. And his or her mind is going to be changed. And his outlook on the world is going to be more in line with what the world is. So people want to talk about diversity this, diversity that. We got diversity all over the place in the U.S. military. So think about that. And that just makes everyone more well-grounded. People want to talk about diversity as a skin tone thing. It's not. It's diverse thoughts. It's different backgrounds being brought in and discussed at one time. So the last bullet I'll really talk about is you really get to know what you're made of. And you get to figure out what you want out of life while making money while you do it. Okay. And I sailed with guys like from Mississippi or South Carolina. Man, their first pair of new shoes were their military issue. And they're able to send some money home to mom, send some money home to dad while they're working on the farm. And they're able to do that, and they don't even know what they want out of life, but they've got a steady job in handling this, and it was always amazing to see, so you really learn. Like for me, I was probably a 10 to 12 hour sleeper before I joined the military. Now it is a gift from God himself if I get 6 hours. It's just how I am. It's just how I've been since basic training, and it does not hinder anything I'm doing. I'm on about 4.5 hours sleep right now, and I hope I'm portraying some decent energy here. That's just how it is. You challenge yourself in different ways, and you're able to do some things that maybe some other people aren't based on the experience of being in the military. So I'm going to end this with kind of a plea, okay? Like, we need people to join the U.S. military. We just do, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, but it is a fact. We don't have a draft anymore. That ended in the early 70s. So the finest doctors, the finest bankers, the finest lawyers, the finest musicians, they don't have to serve in the military anymore. And that has hurt us as a country. Without a doubt, that has hurt us because there used to be a 2-year commitment that Israel, for instance, still has, where the best of the best still had to put that uniform on. So here's my plea. There will always be the Puerto Rican kid from the projects of Brooklyn who had a kid early, who had some patriotism, that's going to join the military anyway. Joe Schmo from the mobile home park deep in the Mississippi Delta can be the first person to go to college, and he joins the military to get that, he or she joined the military to get that GI Bill in order to make those dreams happen. So we're always going to be able to fill our enlisted ranks with those kinds of people, right? The guy from a career gangbanging family out in LA says, I'm not going down that road. I'm going to go into the military and make something of myself. We will always have that. What we need in this country is the kids from the loving 2-parent affluent home that's gone to private school. I'm pleading to you parents, and I work with a lot of you here at the bank, at my bank. I'm pleading with you guys to talk to your children about not maybe a career in the military, but serving in the military, because we need people from those affluent backgrounds to lead the Puerto Rican kid from Brooklyn who didn't grow up with that leadership, that needs that. We cannot falter on that, or we begin to crumble as a country. I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is the Joe Loves Irish channel. Please like, subscribe, notifications, all that, comment. Please do let me know if you like this video. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.